pleased to have the opportunity to talk to Dr. Stein this afternoon from Multi Health Systems, best known as MHS. And we are here in Toronto, in Canada, a beautiful city, having a fabulous conference. And Dr. Stein, would you first tell us about the International Conference on Emotional Intelligence?
Well, we're really excited to be hosting the conference here in Toronto, our hometown. This is the third consecutive conference. We had one in London, England, one in Chicago, and now Toronto's the proud host of this great conference. And what's really exciting about it is to have the interaction of the practitioners and the academics, so you can see how people are applying emotional intelligence in real life situations, whether it's in coaching, whether it's in selection, and in all kinds of different areas, which is really exciting.
I just attended a workshop from some people working with it with the National Health Institute in the UK. It's just very interesting.
Yeah, and we've had stuff on athletes. We had professional athletes in Australia and the UK. We just had a presentation on firefighters and the use of emotional intelligence in firefighters. Our opening address was by the Chief of Police of the City of Toronto, who's been practicing emotional intelligence for a number of years now and has had significant changes in terms of the whole image of the police in the City of Toronto and the effectiveness both in crime and in community support. So it's really been exciting to see all these different areas that emotional intelligence has been applied to.
Very practical, very real, exactly what we can do with it. I'm so pleased to be a part of it. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I was glad to have you be a part of it.
Yeah, good. And in that same kind of practical perspective, we have the Handbook for Developing Emotional and Social Intelligence, and you wrote an excellent chapter on working with this emotional and social intelligence whole concept with organizations on the benchmark of organizational emotional intelligence. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, thanks. Yeah, the you know what I decided, we've been looking at emotional intelligence for a long time, and we know that if you have an organization with just high IQ people, that's not going to work out really well.
Right.
We've learned that. So the next step was, well, what happens if we get a whole bunch of high EQ people working together?
Right.
And obviously there's a lot of benefits. That takes us another step further, but there's still further that we can go.
Right.
And what we found in our research is the organizational component, that not only can individuals have a sense of emotional intelligence, but that it can permeate an organization. So we developed a measure called the Benchmark of Organizational Emotional Intelligence, or the BOI, that looks at how emotionally intelligent an organization is, and we documented what are the main factors that go into that. And it would be things like the leadership, what we feel of our top leadership, how we feel about the work that we do, how about stress and how our time is managed. Is it a flexible organization? Do they care about us as individuals? And even measuring the amount of anger that permeates in an association, which can be a telltale sign of things like productivity, absenteeism, and so on.
Loyalty, yeah.
Loyalty, definitely. It's all the whole area of engagement. And for a number of years, people have talked about emotions in the workplace, but we don't really get down and measure it and look directly at the effects that it has. And there's negative effects when emotions aren't going really well in a place. We don't trust our leaders. We don't like our managers. We don't like the people that we work with. And there's really high levels of productivity when we love our organization, when we feel that there's a higher purpose to what we're doing.
Exactly.
And we love the people we work with. We're a cohesive team. So what we're trying to do is look at that and really measure those differences and help organizations be more of the positive emotional intelligence.
Well, I can testify that it's a great instrument. I've used it with, for example, county government, where we've had road workers as well as senior administrators taking it. So people across blue-collar, white-collar jobs, and getting a common answer from all those different perspectives within one organization is very powerful.
Yeah, what I really like to do once you've done that, which is great, is to get to the senior management and ask them to predict how their people feel.
Yeah.
And you'd be amazed how often I find that CEOs and other in the C-suite are really off the mark.
Yeah.
They really have no idea what's going on with the people down below. So it's really interesting when they say, oh, they're going to be, I'm sure they're really happy with the people they work with, or they think their supervisors are great, we spent all this money on training, right? And then you get back these results that show, wow, there's some serious problems down here. And of course, the next step is you really have to address those issues.
Yes. And that's the important thing, I believe, is, and I know that you've said this, if you do the BOE, you take the time to then help the people understand the results and build from it.
Sure, and it builds your credibility. It builds
Yes.
the organization's credibility. It builds support. And it's what the people want to see. They really want to see that you've taken the time to gauge how they feel about the organization. And when they feel bad about certain things, doesn't mean you're going to fix everything,
Right.
but you're going to acknowledge that, yeah, you know, these are problems, and you know, and I want to hear what you have to say about what we can do about it, and I'll tell you some of the things that we're thinking about doing about it. And that can do so much, just little interventions like that, to get people's buy-in.
Yeah.
Right? We want to stop people just from complaining and moaning and saying, you know, what an awful place. You know, most of the problems we find have to do with communication.
They do, don't they?
We don't discuss the problems.
Yeah.
You know, we'll ask them things and we never get back to them.
Right.
Or we'll throw out some intervention and say, everybody go do this. Or we'll go off and do some strategic plan, which is a beautiful plan. We spent 3 days away doing a strategic plan, but nobody told anybody at the front lines about where we're going or what it's all about.
Yeah.
So I think it's a real necessary component, and the really high functioning companies that we look at, that's what's really exciting. Because the benefits are just so many.
Yeah.
People, for example, you know, you talk about HR and hiring people.
Right.
So why is it that I go and I see one CEO tells me, gee, there's no talent today. These kids aren't well educated. I can't find anybody. And then I meet somebody at the same industry, an IT company, 15 miles away, and the CEO says, oh my God, we got people just dying to work at our place. We're getting such great talent. You know, what's going on here? What's the disconnect? And you try and explain that, you know, to some of these leaders, that if you have an organization that's dynamic, that listens to its people, that does the right thing, and it's not just about throwing money at the problem, because that doesn't solve it. It's really about taking the time to show the people you care, and to listen to them, and be genuine and authentic about that.
Right.
And you can find these other things will fall in place. Innovation, productivity, it just flows right through it.
Listen and respond, and then you get the productivity and the I want to work for this company.
Absolutely. And there's one more component.
Oh, good. What
There's
is
three basic components,
Okay.
right? So one is you know, the work itself.
Right.
That we got the right fit. That, you know, I got you at the job, you know, sitting on the right seat in the bus.
Sure.
This is a job that's good for you. You enjoy it. You want to develop yourself and keep going in that area. The second is the people. Because you want to work with people that you enjoy.
Sure.
You're not going to want to go in if you can't stand the person sitting next to you or whatever. So we've got to get those two in order. And there's, you know, a lot of ways that we've been looking at and doing that. But there's a third that we don't pay as much attention to. And that's what we call purpose.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And if you, and this is sort of the ultimate thing if you can do this, and that was what was so exciting about the police chief's talk yesterday. I have to admit he read my book, but regardless of that.
It was a good thing for him to do that.
It was. But one of the things he pointed out in why the police force is so charged, and they rate everything, and they've got ratings that are unbelievable in terms of community support. This is a police chief that has 88% community support.
Isn't that amazing?
In a city where our mayor has 20% community support. So it's just, you never hear that, you know, where the police chief stands out as such a community leader. And one of the things he pointed out, which was interesting, was this issue around purpose. And he said, you know, when he talks to his officers, in many police forces, it's all about how many tickets you write. But he says that's not our measure.
No.
Our measure is saving lives. You know, and if you're going to go out and give tickets, you're going to do it in a strategic way with the goal of saving lives. I don't care if you gave, you know, 5% more tickets this year than last. And that permeates throughout the organization, where you feel proud of what you do, and it's for the community. And that can be in any organization.
Any organization.
Any organization.
They can make widgets.
They make widgets.
Right.
Exactly.
They can get to the purpose of why those widgets matter.
There's got to be a reason why those widgets make difference. And even if you have a difficult time with that, look at a company like Timberland. So they make clothes, they make shoes, they make clothes. But if you look at their website or their mission statement, you're going to see social responsibility.
Absolutely.
When there were when Katrina had the problems it had, you had Timberland people giving their shoes, personal shoes, going out there and working in the field, you know, helping people in need. And the organization believes in that from the top down. And so that's another way of finding purpose.
Right, right. Oh, that's so powerful. So those three components, and we'll pull those three we'll pull those three components together.
Mhm.
And I love your mentioning purpose. Thank you for bringing that in.
Oh,
That
thank
is
you.
so purposeful.
Okay, thanks, Marcia.
You know, and what I just want to be sure we do is encourage people to attend next year's International Conference on Emotional Intelligence, wherever you're going to decide it'll be.
Big
Who knows
surprise,
yet?
yeah.
Yes, yes. And it'll be exciting and wonderful.
Oh, thanks, Marcia. That's
Yes.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah.